check it later.
All right, well, it might actually be good. I think it would be good for us, probably good for everybody to see it. Let me just get the blackboard. Oh, that's okay. Well, normally if it were in class, I would have had you pin them up. So everyone would have seen it. All right, let's do screen share. Okay, let's do that there. Okay, so this is here, good, and Sandy, I see you've got work there too. Is Sandy here? Yeah, Sandy is here. All right, so so there's my response there for suggestions for you, but I can go over that right now. So this is good because you see that if you select the PDF, so you can post this as a PDF, you can post it as a series of pictures. The PDF is very convenient, so thank you. So we can scroll through this. So here are the initial sketches. So this is good, the repetition of this overlapping circle. That's nice. And this one so here's what I like this second one. Can you all see this?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, so Claudia's got the repetition of this, these rectangular pieces that get thinner. The black piece gets thinner, the space between them gets bigger, so your eye makes this transition here. And then there's variations, so they're offset, so you see the layers of them. Now when you're, if you were to do this in the bigger version, the line that separates these different layers would be gone. And so a sketch like this is good because it lets you see it. And, excuse me, you would see, but when you go to a bigger drawing, if you chose this one, then you would draw it without those lines there. So this is good repetition, like that, like that progression, and the change. So, turning the piece like it's a stack of cards, that's good, that's effective. And these here, so this one you would still have to decide, is this a really thin shape of paper, or are you going to have, if this were white pieces of paper, would they just be cut and then separated a little bit to show that the white on black would be probably how I would do this one on the top. And then good, the stalactite is interesting. And I think with this, some of them, we'll get to this with the bigger drawings, I would cut those and try to separate them a little bit so you could see a little sliver coming up the diagonal on some that look like they're in front.
So did I understand well that we have to choose 3 compositions to Oh, okay.
Yes, I want you to choose 3. So Claudia did do the 3 large ones. So here's her 9. And I think you've got a lot of strong compositions here. This one with the triangles in the middle is it's a little indistinct about how you would create those the triangles that are defined just by a contour line.
Yeah, just maybe a little little black lines or something.
Yeah, but that's okay with a set of drawings that are an initial set of studies. Some of them are going to be better than others. So now here are the finished ones, the bigger drawings. And so this one, if you were to do this in black paper, if you wanted it to look like this in paper, I think I might make this the like a black background and cut the white paper and separate them a little bit so that you like that, like there's a little space between them to like the black line is actually the paper underneath.
Okay, so like cut the kind of like a half circles or like little moons or
Yeah, like
something like
crescents.
this,
Yeah,
not the.
cut these like crescent shapes. And you could take like a piece of like you could. I mean, I would probably just do it like just look at them and cut approximately the shape that you've got, because you can like there can be like there's the shapes that you cut don't necessarily have to be exactly that. They just have to be close enough that you can make that effect. Because otherwise, if you're going to do this, because you're going to do this in cut paper, you'd have to cut these little thin strips of paper to be the contour lines. And that would be, that I can tell you, that would be difficult, unpleasant, and probably would be difficult for you to get good results. All right, so there's that. Good, and this one too. You know, I think I might cluster the circles a little more so that that path is a little tighter. Like the grouping is a little tighter, so you see the path of them through space a little bit more clearly. And I think some of the smaller, like the smaller dots, you'd have to make them bigger.
Yeah.
And you know and the circles. I like the fact that some of the circles are just a contour line, and I would do that. I might make them larger, like if you cut like a bigger, you know, like a ring out of the black paper. You could stick that down.
Or maybe a bigger circle on the black paper and then tiny bit smaller in the white and just one on the top of each other.
Yeah, and it would be, you know, it's also nice. So the idea of creating the idea of space here, if you overlap like some of the circles, like if those are like white ones kind of cut in like kind of like a bubble floating in front of the black circle, even just like partially. That would allow us to see the depth better, or like see like it would sort of create a more full sense of depth. Okay, and then there is this one here. So yeah, this one I like. Oh, I see that there's an extra one. Oh, good. Ta-da! Good. That's good to see. So the this one I like a lot, and I think that but if you did this, you would need to cut all of those black outlines in paper, or from like either, you know, some way this all is going to be cut paper. And so because you're going from drawing to really collage, then you have to change it when it goes from the original drawing to the finished format. So now here, this is good. There's a...
This is cut in paper already.
Yeah, that's good. So, you know, something that you could do, you could still layer like white shapes on top of this. And, you know, the curve, I can demonstrate like how I would try to make those curves a little smoother. Which I'll do like once we're done looking at this. Yeah, so this is good too, where you have that like that white space in between that the eye goes right to it.
Because it was supposed to be like imperfect, kind of like in a cave, but I don't know if it looks good at all.
No, well, no, this is good to see. You know, yeah, you know, I think that one thing that's important in a class like this is, you know, it's design one, so it's basics of how to, you know, design something, you know, anything. Thinking about like in this case, we're creating visual effects, and so the cut paper is still, if it's not glued down, it's still flexible and you can still move it. So I think that like in this, like on the right side here where that's, you know, there's like just more paper, and I can see the seam between them. I might separate them a little. So if you have like a white strip, kind of like a little like highlight edge cutting into that larger dark area, I think that would help create a little bit more of the appearance of depth.
Or maybe just doing this on the black paper and just cutting out this white kind of zigzag thing.
You could do that too. But also, so yeah, so if you cut it out of white and put it on black, then you wouldn't have all the pieces. I mean, you could just cut it out of one big shape of the black could just be cut out of one great big piece of paper,
Yeah.
or the white could be cut out of a piece of paper. So, and this is good because I've run into this a lot. I spent a long time in school studying art, taking art classes for a lot of different subjects, and the idea of like process, like your creative process, the first version of something when you haven't done it before is usually kind of like it's inefficient, it might be messy, but it helps you to understand what you need to do. And that's really what, like when we talk about process, that's what process is for. Because you're trying to solve a problem you've never solved before. And this is not like, we're trying to, develop, like a vaccine for, so for a virus we've never encountered. It's not up to that level, but it's the same basic idea that you have to try things to see what works. And you might try things based on, the best understanding you have of either what the problem is or what the just like what you do know, so you can identify what you don't know. And and I will say that's also like the nature of problem solving and learning problem solving is something that transfers to any subject. When you get into higher mathematics, it's a lot of creative thinking because people are trying to push the limits of like what we understand about anything. And if you've ever read any like avant-garde or experimental poetry, it's not the same thing as reading like nonfiction. Not at all. Okay, this is good. I think I would overlap these triangles and make the point cut in, like overlap a little bit and like maybe cut a little triangular notch out of the bottom of them and just kind of like fit them in together.
That's boring. That's boring now that I look at it.
Yeah, that's a really good, honestly, like I have had that where I make work and I think this looks pretty good, and then I look at it later and I think, that's not very good at all.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm just gonna do on paper those 3 ones that I did with the Sharpie.
Mm-hmm.
And those were just like trying out, or maybe perfect this one a little bit, or just like trying to play with the paper and see.
Yeah.
But out those maybe I will just redo in the version of on paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. This is good. This is a good set of drawings, and these really like these like the initial cut paper. You don't have to stay with this, and you might, as you're seeing now, you think like, well, maybe they're not. At least one of them needs to be reworked, or maybe you decide, maybe you look at the drawings again and see like, now there's another better one over here.
Yeah, because the paper it's supposed to be also 5 by 10 inches, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is that's good. These are like this is like a sketch in paper.
Yes, yes.
And that's
Like I'm just filling out.
Yeah. Okay. So does that help everyone else watching? Does that help you to understand better the work you're doing?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it definitely does.
Good. Well, it's nice. Thank you, Claudia, for having this, being ahead like this, because that's the kind of thing that I would be demonstrating that in class. And I'm going to show you some of the cutting today, and then, on Thursday, we'll do more of the cutting and just show you like cutting, pasting, what the format should look like, and then I'll want these done, and like Tuesday of next week, and like it'll be like by the end of the day, by midnight, you'll have to have the 3 posted, and I'll want you to arrange, like take a picture and arrange them together with like about an inch in between on a white surface, and I'll show you what that looks like too. We would get you, like you would have the presentation board, and if you do get that in time, then we can do that. But this one I might just have you arrange it without mounting it to the board, and then for the next ones I'll have you mount them to the board. I think I'd rather keep this first one a little simpler. So did you see there's an email, a message that to pick up supplies from Harper?
Yeah.
And
Yes, I saw it, Duffy, and if anyone hasn't read it yet, I think it's a great option, but there are not a lot of choices of when you go. I think it's either Wednesday or Thursday, so we
Right.
caught a break that it wasn't today with the
Well,
snow.
yes, I'm glad. It's Wednesday and Thursday. It's 11 to 2 at the full-time art faculty will be there to you drive up, text the number, and tell them you're in my class, and they'll come out and give you what you get for this class. So, which will be the media paper and the presentation board. So, hopefully, if you have any, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, but if someone can't get there, we'll just like do your best to get there, get the stuff, and if you absolutely can't, then you'll just have to let me know, and we'll see if we can do something about it. The college doesn't want students going to campus. They don't want us meeting with students outside of classes. So they are, they want to make absolutely sure that people are not mingling and potentially spreading the virus. So if it's absolutely can't do it, we'll find some workaround. This is kind of like what we're doing is we're working around the limitation. Okay, now let's so let me just ask, did anyone not see the announcement in Blackboard about that? You can just kind of shift over there and see it if you need to, but if you don't, then I'd rather talk about other stuff, like how to do this. And then there's Elliot. Hey, dude. Come on. He's having a little bath. Oh, he's so cute, man. A little baby. He can't be there right now. All right. So, come here. Give me that. Thank you. We'll do this one because he's going to camp out on the other drawings. All right. So I have a small cutting mat. I have like cutting mats galore. I'm going to use a smaller one so that it fits on the screen. Now, when you're working like a work surface, if you can, create a working area at home that is where you work, that's great. If you can't because there's, you live with other people, with your family, and you just can't stop it. Oh my God, he is like a little baby. Put that up there. It's nice. I mean, it's just helpful to have a place where things are set aside. Of course, I have to put things away because this little man likes to get into everything, and he will just start chewing on stuff. He's a bit of a chewer, and he likes to eat tape, which is a bad idea. Don't eat tape. All right. So let's say I've got this drawing. I want to do these guys, and I want to take these maybe bend these rectangles a little bit. But I was also going to do some cut circles. So I have my knife right here. And I will always store it with the point in so that it's not just a blade poking out, because it will happen that you will reach for it and you will grab it and you will grab the blade. And I've done it, and it doesn't feel very good. Pencil, eraser. And if you have, a pair of scissors can be very useful. Where did you go, scissors? Well, I don't know if I really need them. I picked them up and moved them to some other place. All right. So like these, like this drawing with these rectangles, I could decide I'm going to, with the graphite on the paper, you can see that it's reflective. I can see it well enough. If I need to cut this, I might have to these boxes are supposed to dispense the dots, and they don't always do it. There. I'm going to take it there. I can't. So if I don't like this paper, I'm just cutting things out of the paper. Silly picture. And they're always cut away from your fingers, and then I can pick that up, and there we go. That's very nice. And so if I'm trying to create this, I think I might just take this there, I can use the edge of the sheet. Careful to resist the urge to tear it, because then it will kind of goof it up. I'm going to take a little guy off in there, there, there. There. And you can you're going to glue these down. I will often just with the point of the knife, just like if I need to pick it up and position it, I can stab it and just move it. The hole in it will be very small, and really you don't see it. So if you don't see it, then functionally it's not even there. There. I'll cut that guy off of there. So in terms of, I mentioned this with the supplies list document. This cutting mat is really, I like it. It's nice. It's meant for cutting. The back of the cardboard backing of a pad of your sketchbook or a pad of paper will also work. Okay. There. Good. So I'm just, kind of, it's a bit arbitrary. I'm just cutting them to look like these kind of bent rectangles. And then, I will, let's see here. When I arrange them, I shouldn't do it on the back of the drawing since I might need to look at the drawing. But I've got the, if I have this bend in them going in a common direction, then I can, and like here where they're just cut shapes, you can move them around, just slide them, and this can also be part of your process of composition, where you're deciding where, where you're going to arrange them. If you have them like where you want them, then you might, like right now I'm not, oops. If this were the piece I was mounting it to, I might just like stick it down at the corner with a little piece of a drafting dot or some drafting tape. And then if this is where I want to glue it, I can lift this, put the glue underneath there, and then stick it down, hold it, maybe, like kind of buff it down with my hand a little bit, and it'll stick. Which I'll show you in just a minute. Does that help? Is that helpful to see that?
Yeah, definitely.
Good. All right. Take my Ticonderoga. So circles. So the circles are, it's a circle in geometry is a uniform. It's a very uniform figure. Drawing it, if you've got something you can use to trace it, whether it's a circle template or like a little, like a jar that you can trace around it, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. When you're cutting it, it's I might just cut that off of there. You got a pack of construction paper, then you don't have to be too. You're gonna you'll have plenty, so you don't have to be too. You don't have to be too conservative with how you use it. I can just cut off a piece like this so that I can stick it down. Let's see. So I want to cut out the inside. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to preserve this, I want to preserve the paper out here. So I'm cutting a circular hole. I'm pulling this, and then I'm going to turn this so that when I'm cutting, I'm trying to find the track I was in. I'm always cutting it down toward myself. If I try to cut out away from myself, it's very awkward and I can't control it. So I'll just keep turning the piece of paper, or if I have it taped to the cutting mat, I'll keep turning the cutting mat. In this case, I can hold it with my fingers right here, and I'm cutting between my fingers, and I pull it down like that, like that, like that. And then I have a circle right there. Now it's I think this would be close enough. You can see that that's actually a pretty decent cut. And since I've done this before, it's not as difficult. And as it might be for anyone who hasn't done it. But like here, I've got a little bit of a notch that I don't want. I'm just gonna like put this, I'm gonna like put the blade up against the edge. Let me enlarge that for you. And then I'm just gonna try to come over a little bit and just pick off that little extra bit. Trying to correct this can always be like, you know, it could slip and I could just like, oops, and then cut into there, and then I'm going to need to cut another one. The way that looks right there, that is, that's good enough. Considering the limitations of, you know, any limitations that are placed on you, like you don't have like a machine to stamp cut circles. I mean, you might if you have anyone in your home is a crafter or you are a crafter, you might find like a little like circle cutting, you know, like a punch. But you don't go out and buy like a big circle cutting punch just for one assignment. That's not necessary. It's better that you learn a little bit of control. Also, if I cut this shape and I leave it a little bit irregular, it's going to give me the appearance of a circle, but it might look a little bit more like it's a stone or something like that. Like it's just a little bit irregular, which just that little bit might imply a little bit of meaning in terms of, you know, what these shapes are suggesting. So instead of just like, you know, nice even circles, you know, moving through space, it could be this like bunch of rocks. So good. So Claudia, you just have to, if you want to try to cut them, you just got to go back and try to just like shave off that little bit.
Yeah, you know what I was doing? I was just using the scissors.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not very detailed, but like you said, it's like a kind of like a draft version. So I'm gonna perfect it a little bit and do it a little bit better.
Yeah. So I think I would, for me doing an assignment like this, I would embrace the more organic appearance of something rather than trying to force it to be super, like geometric. I mean, if it's a circle, if it's a triangle, like if I know I have triangles, I can, if I can make a straight cut in, just like one cut through that, and I know that that's that's going to be good for what I need, then I can do that. If you have like with a metal straight edge, you might have to, do this in a way, like if it's like 5x10 composition, and you need the that jagged shape to be like of certain dimensions, then you might take this and let's say I need it to be 4 inches long and 1 inch wide at the base. So like right here, I can say, it doesn't, whatever, if I can use simple addition and subtraction. 1, 2, 3, 4. There. If I know I have a straight cut, this is the edge of the piece of paper. 1 inch. I want it 1 inch at the base. So from the edge of the paper to 1, right there. There you can see the marking. And then my 1 inch is up here. If I want it in the middle, since I'm measuring off of this edge, which is really something that you should do, pardon me, half an inch there. Like if I want to make this even here to here, here to here, then I should measure it. I need like a straight edge to measure it. If I'm trying to measure off of an irregular cut edge, Whatever I get is going to be approximate. And most of the time in like an assignment like this one, you can get away with it not being perfect. All right, so here I have, it's 1 inch at the base, and I marked it a 1/2 inch because I want it to be the point to be in the center. By the way, if fractions are something that you didn't learn in school, you could you could tell me. I didn't, I was, thanks to my a lot of my older siblings being poor students in school, it was assumed by a lot of my teachers that I couldn't do things like you can't do math because you're an O'Connor, which was kind of infuriating. But see, watch that. I'm going to have to come at this from this side. So you can see this. All that. So briefly, I learned fractions when I did picture framing for money, which was a really kind of a fun job. So if you ever need help with fractions, let me know, because it's no shame. There are things I didn't know in school because they just didn't bother to teach me. All right, so if I cut it this way, this is going to bunch up. I don't want that. Or I can cut it from a different direction, or I can tape it down. Pardon me. Please pardon my congestion in the mornings. It's unpleasant. I don't want you to have to. So you have to listen to that. All right, so tape it and tape it. I learned that in woodworking. Secure your work so it's not sliding around when you're trying to cut something. And I think I'm going to have to cut this too. There. Just try and bunch up on me. So I can see my corner is like under the tape there. So I'm going to put my knife on the spot I'm cutting to, line that up, and then gentle. If I'm cutting like a strip like this, I want to be careful. I don't have to cut through in one cut, and sometimes it can be a little surprising, like I'm cutting thin paper. Why does it take more than one cut? The point of the knife gets dull pretty fast sometimes, and most of the cutting happens right on the point. So if you need to change your blade, change your blade. I had I was an impatient student when I started college, and I had many times where my professors would take my knife away from me and say, "Go get a blade," because you're cutting with a dull blade and you're ruining everything you're doing. And then you just have to do it again. So why not? I didn't ever want to stop, so I had to learn the lesson of just stop, change your blade, and then you won't ruin all your work. Or stop and sharpen your pencil so that you can, get a sharp point on your pencil. So there, I missed this a little bit, so I think I would trim that. There. This would be challenging. Tape you down. But I definitely I got this little flat spot and I just can't live with it. So I'm going to trim it. There. So you can see I got just a little bit of the black showing. I'm going to cut it twice, and there it goes, all done. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to be careful of my point so I don't crush or crumple my point. That's a nice triangle. Okay. And I'm gonna go locate my scissors. I moved them off of the studio table, and I know they're around. They're probably they're in my brushes right there. Woof. Okay. So these, I happen to have these enormous scissors that I use for pretty much everything. And then, making a curved cut. With this, watch your finger underneath, please. I've had it happen where every once in a while I can feel the scissors starting to close on the end of my index finger. All right, so if you cut this, like open it up all the way, and then turn the paper, slowly closing the scissor blade, and I can get a little better curve on that. It can be hard to, like if I have let's say I have a bigger piece of paper. Like that. This might be something I cut from multiple, like multiple cuts with the knife. So let's say I'm cutting this much. It can be, I find it's helpful, like if sometimes like the extra paper just gets in my way and I just got to cut it off. Let's see, which way will work better? Oh, Elliot. My little baby. So nice. This is probably like a job for a lefty. All right. And then, so open up scissors. So when I'm going around that turn, I want to just keep the scissors closing and then keep turning it. And then watch out, I don't want it to hit that. You got to kind of like keep it from, hold this. Last turn. Hey, not bad. Look what I got there. Separate. So I might take this and tape it down to the board and clean up some of that irregularity, but that's pretty cool. I like that.
I think that's very cool. It looks so easy.
Yes.
Meaning,
when you know what to do, things tend to be a little easier.
well, and before we try, it sure looks easy.
Yes. Well, that's I think there's something about practice and skill and talent. I've heard all my life people say things like, some people just have a natural ability to do creative things. And I think that some people, meaning everybody, we are unique among mammals that we do stuff like what I'm doing right now. We do things that other animals don't need to do. And that's a common trait. I find that a lot of people use it as like a reason not to try, to say that I'm just not one of those people that can do these kinds of things. That is just really not, that's incorrect. Some people, some people are better because they practice. I started drawing as a kid and I never quit. So drawing is very comfortable to me. I had friends growing up who did stop. We got to adolescence, teen years, and some kids just stopped. They got interested in other things. If you draw when you're in high school, some of you may have experienced this. People want to see what you're doing, and sometimes I had friends who quit drawing because they didn't want people hanging around watching them all the time. So practice is what allows you to know what to expect. It's experience, really. And, there are so many examples of people who are successful, successful musicians, singers who were told when they first started out, you're no good, you should stop and do something else. Go into business or something, something that's not creative, business is creative. People who are good at business are very creative people because they're, humans are creative. But it's, practice. And some people, insist. I was like, no, I want to sing. I'm going to sing. I'm going to learn to sing. I'm going to be great. And they make themselves better by practicing. This, if you're, it's easy, it's from a bygone era, but the singer George Michael, who was in the 80s pop band Wham, and he had a successful solo career. He is someone who, who was interviewed later in life, and he said, I was told by my first voice coach to quit because he said you have no pitch, you have no range, and he just like, no, I want to sing, and he just made himself, he practiced. So practice, try things. If cutting this is challenging but you want that curve, you're going to have to just keep trying, and you'll learn as you try. Okay. Any questions about what I'm doing here? Well, good.
Yeah. Sorry. Duffy, do we need to get approval from you when we go narrow it down from 8 to 3, or can we just really wing it on our own passion?
I will
and
let you
desire?
choose your 3. And, I would like to see them on Thursday at the latest, and then I can tell you which ones I think. I can tell you if I think that you've got another one that's better, or but a lot of this I want you to, like, if you look at examples. I mean, do you have an idea, like now? Do you have an idea of like how you would proceed?
Not yet. So thank you. That helps. So on Thursday latest, make your own choice. And if you're on the fence, you'll help weigh in. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, it's something that it's a feature of creative work, whether it's fine arts, whether it's design, that at some point you have to develop the ability to make a decision about what's right. And this is early, so you don't, you're not doing this. No. You're not. This is not a professional. It's not a professional job you're doing. Unless maybe someone, so you don't have to. So you can make mistakes. You don't have to worry about it. But at some point, I remember in college where it freaked me out that I was going to, at some point I would graduate and I wouldn't have my professors telling me whether or not my work was good. And I brought that up with one of my professors, and he said, welcome to the club. That's where we all have to learn, you learn to just make a decision and you live with it. And the more you know, the better your decisions will tend to be. Okay. Now, lastly, before we wrap it up here, adhesives The rubber cement, I'll talk about this more on Thursday. But like the rubber cement, this is an old rubber cement that's kind of drying out. If you're not familiar with rubber cement, like you can't smell how strong the petroleum smell is coming off of this can. But like the rubber cement is, I forget, don't do that. Yeah, a bit of a mess. I would have like scrap paper, have it down on like that. You might even like tape it, like that. And you can see the glistening glue on it. Put it down there, cap this. You can see there's like some of this is like, where do I have it? Like there's a like on the paper there. There is stuff down. That's the rubber cement picker-upper. When this dries, if there's any like, adhesive stuck on the outside of it, you like pick it up with this thing, and on this like so like dull, like kind of like a matte finish paper, it'll pick it up and it'll be gone as if it were never there. If you have glossy paper, then this will kind of like scuff it. It'll get kind of shiny, this process. So that's why like just like dull finish paper, presentation board. You could also, if you're careful, you could use something like a glue stick. Let's see, like you can either do that. Just be careful, like you would do this on a scrap piece of paper so that you can get it out onto the edge like that. And then you don't have glue sticking out. Or, as I showed you earlier, if you have, like if you've got this position like where you want it, and you stick it down with a piece of tape, then you can lift it. Maybe like either put a little bit on there, or with the glue stick, if it gets out into the paper out here, you really can't take it off. So you want to be careful. But a little bit of adhesive probably won't be a big deal, unless if like, you're like rubbing and it starts to get dirty, then it shows up really clearly and you can't clean it off. So just no matter what you do, you have to be careful and be as careful as you can. And then here, I like this overlap. I can still correct this a little bit. The rubber cement is not really completely set up. I'm going to cut a little bit off of there. I might cut that off there. Nope, I'm going to cut it there too. Just cut it in one spot. There. Oh shoot, see, and then I goofed this up. I just cut into that. So sometimes you should just leave it alone. That's a good, this is a good example of like just, what I should have done is if I want this little notch cut off of this piece, I should have cut it before I mounted it, because now this is trash. Oh well, take a deep breath and go back and do it again. I remember that very well from when I was in school, where I would have something halfway finished, do something catastrophic, and then that's it. You gotta like just go back and do it again. Okay. Okay, so the supplies that are, I see Destiny's question. The supplies, like normally, so the excuse me, the supply list, the supply list that I gave you is those are supplies you're responsible to get, and the art department provides normally in class. You would get a pad of the media paper for the painting assignments and presentation board, or it's technically I think it's called illustration board, but we use it to mount the like your work to it so that it has a presentation surface. So the supplies that you get are only those two things, the media paper and the presentation board. The other stuff you have to get. So if you've got, I recommend a metal ruler like this. If you've got something like, although if you have a drafting scale, don't use the drafting scale. Oh, sorry, it's right here. I'm not sharing the screen. If you like a drafting scale, you could use it as a straight edge, but it's plastic, and if you cut into the edge, which I did with my drafting scale that I had in high school, it gets cut up and then you can't read a bunch of the markings, and so you can't use it. So in spite of my drafting teacher telling us not to use our scale as a straight edge for cutting, I did it anyway, and then I learned why not. So, but if you've got a ruler at home, as I, if you've got anything at home already that you can use, then you don't need to buy new. You don't need to buy them new if you've already got stuff. If you've got like I have an old metric drafting scale that I don't use, and that I could use as a straight edge. I mean, if I could use this as a straight edge for cutting if I want to, but there are consequences. But the metric one, I don't use it, and so I may as well if I ever needed one. Okay. Any questions, anyone? All right, so if you can get stuff on Thursday, get stuff on Thursday, or I'm sorry, get stuff tomorrow or Thursday. You can just go during that time from 11 to 2. Check the poster so you know where to go and get the number to call. Here, let me just. Is this in the supplies section? No, it's in the announcement section. Okay. Let me just do this briefly. So here if you want to print out the flyer, if you need it, you can click that link and print. You can open up the PDF. This is a screenshot of it. It's slightly blurry, but that's the info. Wednesday and Thursday, 11 to 2. You actually, you don't need those. You can get away with not getting those, without having them, but this is an opportunity to get them. So if you can, then do it. All right. And I also, in the assignment section, I made a short video. This video is short enough that I could actually post it in Blackboard and not have to put it on the YouTube channel. So this video goes through the process for, creating a thread and posting an image in a discussion board forum. So if you need to review that, review that. And I'll see you Thursday.